My name is Greg Easton. I'm fortunate to be our Vice President for Institute Advancement. It's a privilege to serve this university, and tonight is a wonderful evening because if you haven't met the new president, you'll have a little bit more time meeting our new president and his wife, Lynn. But to begin the evening, I'd like to invite up Roy Davis, trustee for Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, to begin our program. Roy, please join us. Thank you.
Well, because of the extensive background, I'm going to have to read some of this. Okay, can you hear this? Can you hear it? Okay, not the greatest mic. First, I just want to say it's amazing what a great turnout that we have, and it's wonderful to see this many people turn out for greeting our new president. As Greg said, my name's Roy Davis. I am on the Board of Trustees, and I also co-chair, along with Bud Lowenthal, who's in the audience here, the Greater New York Executive Council, which is a Rensselaer group that is dedicated to trying to help alums and recent grads, particularly in their careers, and develop and also give input into the school whenever possible, and any other assistance we can do to help Rensselaer grow. This tour was kicked off on September 7th in Washington, D.C. There was about 150 alumni that showed up there, along with parents and friends. We are also excited that there's more than 300 of you here tonight. So far, New York City rules. All right. Well, our region is home to, I think, more than about 10,000 alumni, parents, and friends. So it's a big pool to fish from. Tonight, many of you are here to celebrate with us. It's a truly exciting part of the Rensselaer community. It's now going to be my honor to introduce the president. So, Dr. Marty Schmidt began his tenure at RPI on July 1st, actually. So, and he's still with us. So, prior to coming to RPI, he served as the provost of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and probably one of the greatest institutions of higher learning that exists in the United States and the world in general. He was also MIT's senior academic and budget officer, responsible for the Institute's educational programs, as well as recruitment, promotion, and tenuring of faculty. Dr. Schmidt was a member of MIT's Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science faculty since 1988, and also served as director of MIT's Microsystems Technology Laboratories from 1999 to 2006, and associate provost from 2008 to 2013. So, tremendous long career of consistent advancement in one of the best institutions in the world. He was also the Ray and Maria Stata Professor of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, and is a fellow of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE, an international organization aimed at advancing technology. A seasoned researcher, inventor, and entrepreneur, Dr. Schmidt holds more than 30 issued U.S. patents and has played a part in starting 7 companies. That's really impressive. Dr. Schmidt earned his bachelor's degree at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in 1981. So this is truly, you did all right. This is truly coming home, and he earned his PhD in 1988. From MIT. It is now my honor to welcome Dr. Schmidt, who is the 19th president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute.
Wow. Roy, thank you so much. It's really just wonderful to be here tonight. I have a script, and I'll try to stick to it. The folks have helped me with this, and sometimes I go off the reservation, and I apologize in advance. My excitement gets ahead of me. But it's just so many alumni are here tonight, parents. It's been wonderful for hearing from you. Lynn and I, we always flinch a little bit when we ask, how did the move-in go? But Peter, I'll introduce you later, but so far so good. And friends. And the fact that more than 300 people came here tonight is just incredibly heartwarming, frankly, for Lynn and I. And just the interest in this event and the other events we've been holding and will hold has just been really fantastic. I want to start by acknowledging some special guests and leaders that are joining us this evening. The list is extensive, so I apologize, but let me just roll through them. I'm going to leave my family for last, but let me not any prioritization there, but because I want to embarrass them. Let me say, first of all, we have members of the RPI Greater New York Executive Council here. So that includes the person that introduced me, Trustee Roy Davis, who's council co-chair. And I know that Roy's lovely wife, Louise, who entertained us on Lake George, is here as well, and it's just delightful to see them. Bud Lowenthal is also council co-chair. But if you could raise your hands just so that folks, there you are back there. Great to see you. And then we also have several council members, Carl DeStefanis, Michael Richter, and Judge Louis Stone. And Judge Stone is here, and Michael, and Carl. We have you here somewhere. Back in the back, okay. We got the doors protected. We're also joined by many Rensselaer Alumni Association Board and New York and New Jersey chapter leaders and members. My new BFF, based on a fabulous lunch in DC 2 weeks ago, is Megan Mulder, the president of the Rensselaer Alumni Association. There she is, Megan. We just had a wonderful time with Megan in New York and it's in DC, and it's going to be a wonderful partnership. I'm confident of that. Rhea Lim is president of the New Jersey Rensselaer Alumni Association chapter. Rhea, there you are. And Brent Schisler, president of the New York RAA chapter. Brent, I saw you earlier. Back there. There you go. And thank you also to Sanjeeva Reddy, who hosted a young alumni event at his law firm earlier this evening. Where are you? Caught in traffic. And I also want to welcome David Hammerstrom, a parent of a graduate of the class of 2022, a member of the Parents Leadership Council. And just so wonderful, as I said earlier, to see all of the parents. Now, in addition to all those wonderful people, there are a number of RPI leaders traveling from Troy to be here this evening, and I want to acknowledge them as well. Although when I read the list in totality, I'm a little worried about who's running the university while we're down here. But let's assume things are on a steady track. But Kurt Brenneman is our Dean of School of Science. Kurt, you're back there. Also joining us is Jonathan Dordick. Jonathan is the Institute Professor of Chemical and Biological Engineering, the Director of Rensselaer Mount Sinai Center for Engineering and Precision Medicine. John, there you are, John Dordick. Someone who's very important to me in these events and in general and sort of connecting with all of you is our Vice President for Institute Advancement, Greg Easton. And Greg is right there. But the list goes on. Shanika Aradasinghe is the Acting Dean of the Lally School of Management. Shanika, I haven't seen you yet, I don't think, but you're back there. That's why I didn't see you. Welcome. The Dean of the school in which I was recently tenured into, the School of Engineering, is Shekhar Garday, and Shekhar is right there. We're also fortunate to have the Henry Burlage Professor, Director of the Center of Materials, Devices, and Integrated Systems, and the Acting Vice President for Research. That's Dr. Robert Hull, and Dr. Robert Hull is right there. In addition, someone who does, for the parents in the room, the person who really makes sure that that experience is spectacular when they arrive on campus and when they're matriculating through campus, is Dr. Peter Konworski, our Vice President for Student Life. Peter. Another person that's very important to me, who keeps me from overspending or underspending, is our Vice President for Finance and Chief Financial Officer. I feel very fortunate to have Eileen McLaughlin as part of the team. The director for the Center of Architecture Science and Ecology and an associate professor in the School of Architecture who's also very heavily involved in some of the programs we're doing in Brooklyn is Dennis Sheldon. And Dennis, I believe you're here. There you are, Dennis. Great. In addition, we have an interim vice president for strategic communications and external relations, Gary Czar. Where are you? There he is. Gary's been very helpful in making sure that we reach out to the media and engage with the community, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And there are also two staff members joining us from the Rensselaer at Work program, and it's Bonnie Bloomer and Justin Human. I haven't seen you yet, but you're back there, yes. So Rensselaer at Work is our activity in delivering online education to the community, and it's great to see them here. And second to last but not least, there are a number of members of the Institute Advancement team. These are the people that you really want to talk to and learn what's going on. They've been tremendously supportive of Lynn and I as we're doing this. So IA team members, can you raise your hand? There you are. They are amongst you. So before I go into my 45-minute talk, I want to acknowledge three very special people in my life. First of all, my youngest son, Danny, lives in New York City, and he and his girlfriend, Sammy, are here. And so, Danny, you want to raise your hand, Sammy? Wonderful to see you here. And what was particularly special is a lot of people, when they see me, they say, awesome. And then they see Lynn and they say, awesome. And then they say, but where are the dogs? So parents have heard this. Danny and Sammy are taking care of the dogs while we're here. So they're not here, but they're in the city. And then last but not least, Lynn. Part of the reason why we took this job is it's a job we get to do together. Lynn and I have known each other since we were about 10 years old. It took me about 6 or 7 years to decide whether or not I wanted to date her. So we started dating when we were about 17 or so. Lynn went to school in DC while I was at RPI, but she knows the campus very well, and she likes to point out that the first hockey game she saw in person was in the Houston Fieldhouse. And that was not the last one, because Danny is the youngest of our 4 sons. They all played youth hockey, and we've certainly spent our share of time in the hockey rink, but couldn't do this job without Lynn, and it's great to have you here, honey. Okay, this is the part. Okay, so let me start by saying how proud I am to be standing here before you as Rensselaer's 19th president. Let me restate that, how proud I am. RPI is an amazing institution, and every day I spend on this campus of the last 82 furthers my sense of conviction about the opportunity that RPI has for the future, and how blessed I am as an alumni of this institution to be able to come back as the capstone of my higher ed career and lead my undergraduate alma mater. It's unbelievable. I came to RPI as a 17-year-old kid that didn't know anything from northeastern Pennsylvania. My experience at RPI was wonderful. It shaped me as a person. It drove me, taught me to work hard, and it created opportunities that I could never have imagined. And I'm eternally grateful for that. After I completed my degree at RPI, I went off to Cambridge, Massachusetts to start my graduate career as a graduate student at MIT. Joined the faculty, spent the last 8 years as MIT's provost, a total of 41 years at that institution. But I'm honored to have the opportunity to return to where it all started. This is the place that got me going, and it brings me full circle for both myself and my family. And RPI has always held a special place in my heart. A number of our extended family or members are also members of the alumni community. Lynn is an identical twin sister. Her husband, Paul, was on the same floor with me in Bray Hall freshman year. Paul's father is an RPI alumni, and our niece, Lisa, graduated class of 2015. We spend a lot of time here as students, and it just is such a special thing. Since I arrived on campus on July 1, I've focused on listening to and learning from members of our community. I've spent a good bit of time meeting with members of the community. I've met with somewhere north of 270 faculty members in small groups, more than 500 or 600 staff members, and about 170 students to become more familiar with the RPI of today and to help determine what I think should be our priorities for the future. With all these groups, I've asked two questions. What do you love about RPI, and where do you hope to see it go in the future? These are important things because understanding what people love about RPI will help us to ensure that those things are preserved as we move the Institute forward. And those are the glue, really, that hold the organization together and shouldn't be lost. I've also spent a lot of time getting to know the details of various parts of the RPI operation in order to try and understand where our capacities and aspirations align with opportunities. So tonight I want to share with you a little bit of what has emerged from those conversations. I'm blessed to be building on what I consider to be a very solid foundation that's been established by the previous administration, and I also see tremendous opportunities for RPI to continue to grow and expand upon our strong tradition and reputation. In meeting with some of the staff recently, I said to them, I believe, after taking in all of this observations about RPI as an institution, I truly believe RPI is a rocket ship poised on the launch pad and ready to soar. And it's sorely in need of the fuel to continue that trajectory into the next galaxies. But the opportunities in front of this institution are immense. So you might ask, where is this rocket ship headed? To what galaxies? And I believe there are 4 areas of focus for us. One is RPI enjoys a fantastic legacy of innovation in education. In fact, shortly after it was announced that I would be RPI's president, a colleague of mine at MIT in the physics faculty called me up and said, Marty, you may not know this, but 20 years ago, MIT sent a team of physics faculty to Troy, New York, because we heard about something they were doing in how they taught freshman physics, based on studio-based learning. And we copied that model, and we use that model today in teaching freshman physics at MIT. And that's just one example of a legacy and a DNA in the institution of innovating in education. I think there are so many opportunities to do it, for us to do so much more. When one thinks about the blending of technology-enabled learning with an institution that has all those skills and has a passion and commitment to education. Just as an aside, in one of my listening tours, talking to faculty, the thing that really struck me was a colleague that said, you know, when I taught at another university, they handed me the syllabus of the class that I was responsible for and said, teach this. Exactly. At RPI, every time I've been asked to teach a class, they hand me the syllabus and say, this is what we've taught before. See how you would make it better. It's in our DNA. And there's so much opportunity for us to build on that brand and advance the leading edge of education. I think the second focus is research. We've created a number of really exciting partnerships and opportunities, but I think we could grow our research activity quite significantly, and that'll very much be a focus for me. We've launched efforts in data and artificial intelligence, energy in the built environment, and precision medicine. And we have many instances of collaborations with institutes, not only in the capital region, but reaching down into New York City, particularly with the groundbreaking partnership with organizations like Mount Sinai on the newly established Center for Engineering and Precision Medicine. But I also think we need to focus on enabling the sort of ground-up serendipitous ideas that will emerge from the brilliant faculty on our campus. Education research. The third thing is what I call translation. I believe that it is a responsibility of an institution like RPI to make sure that the great ideas on that campus go out and have impact in the world. And that means engaging with that translation of ideas from the campus to the world. And things have changed. In the old days, translation involved shipping the PhD student off to a corporate research lab to train those researchers in the inventions from our laboratory. That was tech transfer. Tech transfer was pointing your graduates in the right place and handing them a diploma. But today, so much translation occurs through new venture creation and unique partnerships. And it's incumbent upon the university to participate in that process, to make sure that that translation occurs. And so I think we can do a lot of exciting things in that area, including building the ecosystem in downtown Troy, which has gone through such a renaissance and continues to just blow me away with what's happening in downtown Troy, but building that ecosystem. The fourth area is what I would call regional engagement. And I've learned in my time at MIT that regions develop strongly in an economic development sense when institutions in the region that are deeply committed to the region and have the capacity to think long term come together and seek opportunities to work together where all boats rise. And there are a multitude of examples of that. But it means that an institution like RPI has to reach across the river, has to reach down the river and look for partners where we can work together, even if we might view ourselves as competitors, because working together is going to create a stronger region that we'll all benefit from. And so that has to be an intentional act of the institution and its leadership. And lastly, through all four things, education, research, translation, and regional engagement, I think it's critical that we focus on creating inclusive communities, that we build these organizations, we build these activities in such a way that everyone can do their best work and feels welcomed and supported in that. And when I talk to our undergraduates, they say things like, we're all nerds, but we all work together. We all support each other. And a parent tonight just shared with me an amazing story, or a recent graduate, an amazing story of just that example of the students really coming together and working together. And we could do even better. So I'm excited about that as well. So these are the overall themes. I'm going to be sharing them during my inaugural address. I'm almost done. I'm sorry I went on. That's going to occur during the reunion and homecoming weekend. I hope that many of you can join us back on campus or on the live stream. We'll have block parties. It's going to be a blast. We'll bring the dogs. And before I close, I want to thank you all for your support, supporting the Institute through your generosity and philanthropic support. More than 35,000 of you, alumni, parents, and friends of the Institute, have supported the transformative campaign with more than 185,000 gifts. We appreciate your continued support as we continue to advance toward the $1 billion campaign goal. So those are the end of my remarks. I'm looking to Greg to see if there's time for some questions. Two. And then we're going to do a photo, and I'll come back to that. So are there any really easy questions for the president? Yes.
How does one expand the alumni network to expand the exponential value of the alumni network in a productive manner? Because I've been at the school since 1974, and I'm very proud of my education. And I'm proud to be here tonight, and I'm really proud to listen to you. But I think the alumni has been neglected. I've been neglected.
Do you need a hug?
I think it's really about how do you expand. This is a terrific event, but how do you leverage this in a broader manner to bring. And here I happen to work at the capital markets, as I mentioned earlier, but I think it's very important to expand this process in a productive way, because we have a fabulous alumni here. It's been neglected for a long time. And how can you engage in it in a more rapid manner? I want your thoughts on that. That's the only thing. I was going to say I was going to do that.
So first of all, I'll point out that's not a softball question. So. But yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I'll remember who you are. No, but seriously. So some of you may not have had the question, but the question is really how do we more robustly engage the alumni, if you will, the network. And you know, fortunately, we actually had an event just before this to meet with some of the alumni in New York and New Jersey, and that was the exact nature of the conversation. And we have work to do there, and I think one of the challenges that RPI faces is that we are, I would say one of the things that I've learned in my 82 days, who's counting, is that we are thinly staffed. We've been through some very difficult financial challenges, and we'll rebuild. We will rebuild. And so that's going to pace some of what we can do. But I think building strong alumni networks through the clubs, through the other things we're doing, the executive councils, and then figuring out how we have the conversation where, you know, we obviously want you all to build your networks locally that you all benefit from, but we need to think hard about how do you connect back to Troy? How can we leverage you in ways in which it makes more enriched experiences for our faculty, for our students? And I think there's lots of things there, and we're just going to have to lean in and do it. I don't have a brilliant answer for you, I apologize, but I see a tremendous opportunity in that, and I appreciate the question, I do. Yeah, there was...
He's my classmate.
Okay. And that is class of?
74.
So class of 74 gets both questions. Okay, electrical engineer, I'll get an easier question.
Great vision. What can we individually do to help? What questions, what requests do you have of us? And you may not have an answer to it now, but the question is, what can we do individually?
Yeah, well, so I'm going to be very serious about that. So the question is, how can you help us? So, you know, the U.S. News and World Report rankings came out this week. We're up 5. Okay, you know. I joked with somebody, let's make sure it's not a dead cat bounce. But I when you look at that, I mean, and I know some of the people worry about the rankings, things like alumni giving rates matter. Reputation matters. When I was meeting with a group of students and I said to them, tell me what you aspire Rensselaer to be in the future, one of the students turned to me and said, Professor Schmidt, or President Schmidt, or no, they said Marty. Marty, what do you aspire Rensselaer to be in the future? And my answer came out faster than I thought, which is that I aspire to one Rensselaer. There are divisions amongst us, and I ask us all to figure out how do we come together as an alumni, as a campus community. Our potential is boundless if we're all rowing in the same direction. So I'd love to see increased support, and I'd love to see us working towards building our reputation and how we're viewed in the public. Sorry, that's 2 questions. So, yeah, he told me 2. Okay, well, I'm going to go to another part of the room. Go. Yeah, you.
My son wants to know if you're going to get rid of the Arch program.
No. Arch, I think the reports from Arch have been very strong. The students who have had successful internships report transformative experiences. And it's very interesting because one of the things that happens to the students when they arrive at a place like RPI, they're being challenged in a way that they maybe have never been challenged like before. That causes a hit in self-esteem. And what I've heard from students that have had this experience after completing 2.5 semesters, 2.5 years worth of coursework, is they go out and they work. First of all, they have the resiliency of writing 20 or 30 letters and getting an offer finally for an internship. But then when they come back, they say, the person I worked for was blown away at what I knew. And they lose track of how exceptional they are because they're amongst everyone else is exceptional. And so that experience, having that experience before they're out for real, I think is very powerful. Now, I will tell you, there have been some execution challenges with Arch. And to the question you asked earlier, that's another area where you can help us. Help us create networks that allow our students to find experiences that excite them. And there's a bunch of details that we need to work on in terms of exceptions and so on and so forth. So I'm not saying it's without issues, but I think it's too early to say that we're not, because there are so many positive signs. So I'll just be very direct with you. And Peter knows this, we put together a team to do a detailed analysis of what's not working and what's our solution. But I appreciate the question. So I see so many hands that I'm going to call foul and say, I apologize. But anyway, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to meet you all. I stopped reading my script. So one of the things we like to do at these events is a photo.